Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons and better games that don't win, and why the best games don't win the tabletop role-playing game contest that exists. Why are we here? Why does Dungeons & Dragons dominate the market? Why does Dungeons & Dragons have more attention, time, energy than every other tabletop role-playing game combined, right? And, all right, so let's jump into it. It really doesn't have anything to do with Dungeons & Dragons. It has to do with America's worship of celebrity, okay? And when we talk about celebrity, we're about to get into politics. So here we go. All right, so I'm pretty disappointed with the election of Joe Biden. I am very glad that Donald Trump is out, right? But I'm not happy that Joe Biden is in. And the reason why is I totally stand Andrew Yang. He's a really brilliant candidate in 2020. So get this. He said months before the pandemic came, we should really, we have a lot of threats coming up for the country, and we need to get a way where every American get $1,000 a month, and that'll be $12,000 a year. Costs about $1 trillion, maybe about $1 trillion, maybe $2 trillion a year. But this would be really helpful. We have a lot of automation. We have all these struggles. This would really help everybody. Here we are in the pandemic. Everything he says has been turned out to be true. And when you went to Andrew Yang's website, he had a policy for every single problem. For like 90% of all problems America had, he had a policy. It was well thought out. He had innovative solutions. He was absolutely brilliant. He was charismatic. He was amazing, right? Joe Biden doesn't even pretend that he even wanted the job, right? He's like, I saw that, in 2016, people begged him to run. And he's like, I'm sad. I'm not going to run. And then he came back in 2020 and goes, oh my gosh, this country's a burning hexscape, and I need to rescue you all, right? And so he came in and he said, I could beat Trump. And that's what he did. He beat Trump, right? Now, here's the problem. There's a few things I don't like about Joe Biden, right? So one, absolutely nothing he has put forward is new. It's one of two things. It's straight out of the Obama playbook or straight out of the Democrats playbook. There's no innovation. There's no new solutions. There's nothing to be excited about. And I'm not excited. I'm not excited about Joe Biden, right? But he won. He did what he said he was going to do. He beat Donald Trump. And a lot of people thought that was not going to be possible, right? A lot of people did, but a lot of people didn't, right? And so the reality is Joe Biden beat Andrew Yang, who was a far, far better candidate. Here's one more reason why this is the number one reason I really strongly dislike Joe Biden. We need to stop pretending now that Americans can retire at 65. Retirement should clearly die. All Americans should just work until they die. Why is that? That's what the government's showing us, clearly, right? We just elected a 79-year-old person to the hardest job in the world. Not only are the Democrats relying on a 79-year-old president, but they're relying on an 80-year-old leader of the House. And last year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who is widely heralded as an American hero, worked until she literally died. Right? So the government, particularly Democrat government, is showing us no Americans deserve a retirement. Everybody works there to die, just like American hero Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Bernie Sanders literally had a heart attack in the middle of running for president. Right? So like the government is saying, we know you'd like to, retire at 65, but that's ridiculous. The hardest jobs in the world can be done by people who are 10, 15, 20 years out of retirement. So why on earth should anyone pretend that retirement is going to last? Retirement is going to die for Americans because the government is showing us that the best, most productive years, right, are in your 70s and 80s for the hardest jobs on the planet, right? That's a lot. And if Biden succeeds, this just gets the idea that Americans should be retiring at 65 is ludicrous. It's a laughable concept, right? If you could be president when you're 83, 84 years old, Actually, if he gets 2 terms, if you could be president until you're 85 years old, if you could be a Supreme Court justice until you're 86, right? The idea that people should be retiring when their best years, when they're doing the most important jobs, the hardest jobs, becomes fully laughable, right? So basically, if you look at all these massive problems that you have with Biden, why did he win? Well, here we go. Biden won because people knew him. He was a celebrity. They knew what they were getting. They knew they were going to get 8 more years of Obama level policies, and maybe a few new policies, maybe a few not even new, but standard policies from the Democrat playbook. They knew what they were getting. That's why Dungeons and Dragons wins. That's why it beats every game on the market. 51% of American players, right, play Dungeons and Dragons, right? And they love it, and they do not want it to be interrupted, okay? To me, the best game in the world, the Andrew Yang of tabletop role-playing games, is Index Card RPG. Index Card RPG has a creator by the name of Ingrid Bernal. He's an incredible man. He had the time, energy, patience, attention, and brilliance to fix 90% of the problems that exist in Dungeons & Dragons, right? The game is near perfect. It's as perfect as you can get a tabletop role-playing in D&D. People will not play it. I have players who will not play it, okay? And they don't like it. They think they think it's too simple. It's actually elegantly simple. It takes a lot of the complexity and arbitrary abstraction out of the game, makes it fun, makes it fast, makes it accessible to a lot of players who are never going to read a 250-page player's handbook, right? But my players don't want those players at their table. They want arbitrary complexity. They want arbitrary abstraction. They want what they're used to. Same reason we have Joe Biden as president is the same reason we have Dungeons & Dragons as the #1 game in the world. And I also think when Americans play a game at scale, the world follows, right? If you think I'm wrong about this, look at Modifius. Modifius is the #1 international tabletop role-playing game. Everything they produce is copies of books that were done in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They're laid out well. The art is fantastic. There's a little bit of flourish here and there. No innovation, nothing new, nothing significant. It's just better execution of what Americans did 10, 20, 30 years ago. And by the way, if there's an international team out there that's doing stuff that nobody else is doing and doing it at scale, let me know, because I will gladly pick it up, look at it, explore it, right? The closest thing we've seen is Morkborg, right? But again, Morkborg's just a niche game. There's no way that's going to replace Dungeons & Dragons for the vast majority of people, right? So that is why Dungeons & Dragons wins. It is a celebrity. People know what they're getting, and even though it's far worse than a lot of games on the market, it doesn't matter because you need to put together 4 players, right? And you're going to hit 1 or 2 of them who are just not happy playing these other games. They want Dungeons & Dragons. And if you don't think I'm right, take a look at Index Card RPG and take a look at a whole bunch of other games, right? They create their game, and then they do a skin to make sure that their game works with Dungeons & Dragons. Because if you put together 4 real people for a real table, 1, 2, 3 of them are going to want that age-old worst thing that they know. It's just a reality. It's a harsh reality. It frustrates a lot of us, right? But that's where we're at. It's just where we're at. And the reason I take the time to point it out is just so that people aren't frustrated. I think people are frustrated when they don't know the reason. I'm glad I know the reason that this is happening. I wish it was not happening. I wish it was a better situation. But this is the reality we're in, and this is where we landed. All that's my opinion. What do you think? Do you think that the same reason D&D is the #1 game in the world is the same reason Joe Biden is our American president now? If you think so, let me know in the comments below. If you don't think so, I'd love to hear that too. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.